This guy killed Bruce Lee. Now, it's actually not true. This is just a claim in an infomercial, but I found this infomercial is so brilliant. This VSL, video sales letter, or you can call it infomercial, uses so many technique we are using in copywriting. So if you know me, I've been doing copywriting for 10 years. I learned copywriting 10 years ago and do copywriting for my business. So I really want to do a video to break down all the technique that are using in this VSL and to manipulate people's mind. As a copywriter myself, I really sick and tired of people using all the great technique to do evil things, to cheat on people, to sell fake gurus product, right? So I will help you break down the entire VSL. So the next time if you watch a similar copy, you won't fall for it, right? So without further ado, let's get started.
I killed Bruce Lee.
Now, this part is already really brilliant, right? So in copywriting, we call this a hook. Or some people will call it a big idea. It's something that unusual and they can grab people's attention, right? So if I'm selling a martial art course and they say, hey, how to do martial art, it's kind of boring. But if they use I killed Bruce Lee as a hook, they will grab your attention instantly, right? So this is one really brilliant part.
You're about to hear that shocking deathbed confession from a martial arts master assassin. You'll see how he made the Kung Fu legend's brain explode inside his head by using a near mythical Chinese death touch. And inside this...
So in this part, they're going to sell you the readership. They want to sell you to watch the entire video because if they don't tell you what you're going to learn, you won't keep on watching. So they want to make you feel like you want to finish the video.
Brief but highly controversial video. You'll learn the same forbidden technique yourself, along with 10 more highly lethal one-touch death moves.
So in this part, I want to make you curious, right? So if you know AIDA, the formula AIDA, so the first part, I killed Bruce Lee, is the A, attention. But this part is I, interest. They want to make you get interest in the video. Not about the product yet, but they want to make you feel like you want to finish the video.
Now, beware. These techniques will disable, cripple, and even kill any attacker threatening the safety of you or your loved ones. Plus, it's guaranteed to work no matter how old you are, what your physical condition is, or even if the assailant is heavily armed.
So if you know that there's a really common copywriting formula, that is how to without, right? So how to lose weight without exercise. And he's doing the same thing, but they say it differently, right? So they say, hey, even though you are this, you can still do that. They use this to handle some objections in advance.
Everyone needs these death moves in their arsenal. And I do mean everyone. Even an old Marine like me.
So right now he tried to handle another objection. It's like, hey, if I'm the really great martial artist, if I'm the Marine, if I'm a soldier, I don't need this technique. And he's saying, no, you need that. So he's using this few sentences to handle lots of objections in advance.
I spent 20 years in the service and saw combat more than I care to remember. But even I was completely unprepared when two men pulled a gun on my grandchildren and me. I mean, we were in the parking lot of a toy store, for God's sake. The bigger guy put a 9mm to my head. He told me he wouldn't think twice about splattering brains all over the concrete if I didn't do what he said.
So right now they are trying to create negative emotions using a story. So they try to create a fear or a kind of like worries in your mind. Because in copywriting, negative emotion normally have 2 times the power of positive emotion. That's the reason why normally people will use negative. They will kill your story, make you feel like you want to solve this problem. They make you worry, make you fear about the future of your children. And they do it by telling a story. Guess what? Because stories can trigger emotions. That's the reason why when you go to a movie, even though you know the story is not real, you still have emotion, right? And that's the reason why they use story a lot in this kind of VSL.
And I hate to admit it, but I never felt more powerless or scared. I gave them everything they asked for. My wallet, cell phone, car keys, and those even took the shopping bag filled with a new Lego set I just bought for my grandkids. Before I could even process what was happening, they sped off in my truck. I gotta tell you, man, I was stunned. I tried comforting my poor grandkids, who, of course, were scared out of their wits. Little Daniel even had an accident during the mugging, which even to this day, he's never gotten over the embarrassment of. After
So right now he tried to create more emotions like worries, like hate, like anger, and also he tried to frame himself as a victim. So if you know that was the whole hero movie, why most of the hero was a victim? Because we feel for a victim, right? When we feel someone is a victim, we can trust them more. And that's the reason why he want to frame himself as a victim. And also he want to trigger more negative emotion in your mind.
that day, I knew I had to go on a mission to make damn sure nothing like that ever happened again. But I didn't realize it would lead me deep into the heart of China. My mission brought me to the deathbed of a martial arts master who had honed his craft for more than 70 years.
So right now he tried to introduce the guru, right? So he talked about he's trying to find a solution. And normally when we are writing a story called for copy, we will have some tragedy. Then the main character, they will try to find a solution. They will try to find the guru, the Yoda. And right now here's the Yoda, the Kung Fu master.
A man who, in his last dying breaths, made a confession to me that will shock the world. I killed Bruce Lee.
So right now he connect back to the hook, right? So the hook was I killed Bruce Lee. That's the big idea, the hook of this VSL. Right now, let's go back to that.
At first, I didn't believe him. I mean, seriously. But after
you will see this a lot, right? So sometimes when you attend a webinar or when you are going live event, when they are selling you something, they will say, I don't believe that at first. But after seeing that, I starting to believe in that. And guess what? That's how they handle one of your objections. Is that true? Right. And the reason why they do that this way, because they try to build a rapport while handling your objections. So he knows that some of their audience will think, I don't believe that. But he didn't handle these objections by saying, hey, you should believe that, this is a number, this is a study. No, he do it by telling a story, by building a rapport with his audience, right? So this is actually a hypnotic technique, right? So he tried to build a rapport first so he can influence those audience later.
After learning his forbidden one-touch death move, it was impossible to deny his gruesome, tragic story. Plus, he taught me 10 other instant kill techniques, all of which work to take down any attacker. Trust me, anyone can master these in a matter of days. Even if you could barely walk without a cane, you're 90 years old, and you weigh 100 pounds dripping wet. Inside this short presentation,
So right now he tried to handle another objections that is that I can do it, right? So normally there are a few objections that is really common in presentation. The first one is, I don't believe that. Is that true? Another one is, yeah, it works for you, but not work for me because I have this problem. And he tried to handle that by saying, you can do that even though you are in this bad situation.
Tell you exactly who assassinated Bruce Lee. And I'll share all of the evidence pointing to the fact that he really did kill the most famous Kung Fu legend of all time. I'm also going to show you how the 11 death touch techniques work, so you can start using them in the next 30 minutes to keep your family protected forever.
So right now he's selling the readership again. He wants to make sure you keep on watching the entire video to the end, right? So he keep on doing that by promising you will learn something amazing, some secret, if you watch the entire video to the end.
Now let's cut right to it. My name is Robert Lawrence. I'm 59 years old, and I live about 45 minutes outside of Detroit.
So right now he tried to make you feel like he's a real person. Now we know he's an actor, but why he want to tell you all the details? Because they make you feel like it's real, right? So when we are writing copy, we want to make things as detailed as possible. So when we are giving away numbers, we don't say, oh, it's 20. We don't say it's 30. We say it's 32.25. So that when we are giving you a specific number, you will believe in that number. And when we are talking about who he is, where he lives, he make you feel like he's real.
I always thought of myself as a pretty tough guy, ready for anything. You know, someone who could always look out for himself. But when those two gunmen jumped us outside the toy store, I had a rude awakening. Not to mention, it was the most humiliating experience of my life. I was trained in hand-to-hand combat by one of the best militaries in the world.
So right now he tried to position himself as an authority, right? So he said that, oh, I do combat training, I was in military, and even me need to learn this technique, right? So he tried to influence, and he tried to handle some really rare objections like, I don't need that, I know Kung Fu, I was in military, right? So he was saying that even if I was in military, I still need to learn this.
But when those guys pointed a gun at my head and another one to my 8-year-old grandson Eric's head, I was completely powerless to do anything but be a victim. In fact, the only thing worse than that horrible feeling of helplessness was the recurring nightmares Eric and his little brother Daniel suffered afterward.
So right now he tried to give you an explanation why those skill doesn't work, right? He want to say that even though you get combat skill, you cannot handle a gun. And at the same time, he tried to sell you more emotion, right? He tried to talk about the trauma, the nightmare you got after those experiences. And this is really common in copywriting as well. You not only want to talk about the problem, you also want to talk about the consequences if you don't solve the problem, right? So you want to make solving the problem an urgent issue.
They didn't even feel safe walking to the bus stop anymore. And when I offered to take them out for ice cream or to go back to the toy store, they threw fits because they were too afraid. They just didn't feel safe with Grandpa anymore. And between you and me, I don't think their mom or their dad did either. And all I can think about, all I can obsess about, was making sure something like this never happened to me or my family again.
So he keeps on talking about the trauma, right? And at the same time, he tried to connect with his audience in the value level. So when we are writing copy, in order for our audience to feel connect with us, we want to make them feel like we are the same. We want to show them we have the same value, right? So for example, if you are writing a copy for people who want to make money online, and if their value is freedom, you want to talk about you want freedom, you want to quit your 9-to-5 job. Or if their value is that they want to look beautiful, then you want to talk about how you want to be beautiful as well. And so same here, he wants to talk about how much he wants to protect his family because he knows his audience will care about their family a lot.
Well, my first thought was to buy a new gun. But what would that really accomplish? I already had several guns. In fact, one of them was in my truck when our grandkids and I were attacked. Of course, I could be better about carrying my gun on me at all times, but I didn't have a permit for that.
So in copywriting, one of our goals is that we want to make our audience feel like our product, our solution is the only and ultimate solution. So we do that by writing down all the possible alternatives and knock them down one by one. And this is exactly what this guy is doing. He talked about all the possible alternatives people can come up with, like buying a gun, bringing a gun, and he talked about why those is not a possible solution, right? So this is how he handled an objection like, I can just get a gun. So this is the part 1 of the anatomy of this infomercial. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want more of this kind of video or you want to watch the part 2, be sure to comment below because the entire infomercial is like 40 minutes long. So I cannot do all of them if no one wants to watch that. So be sure to comment below to let me know if you want to watch part 2. And also be sure to subscribe my channel and like this video. I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you soon in the next video.